show, and I'm your host here, Dr. Anthony Elgan, here on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeartStation. And we're happy to be here with you again on another opportunity to listen to and hear from another great entrepreneur. And if you're looking at us now, obviously, I want you to go to hit the subscribe button here on YouTube and subscribe to Intellectual Radio, and you'll be able to be notified of all the wonderful shows we have, 50 shows a week, and you'll be notified when these shows are on. If you're some shows you may like that you may think they're really interesting, something else may come up, you can also go to Spreaker.com and you can download the show and you can hear it at another time. You can download it on your phone, your laptop, your tablet, or even your computer. So you can do all those things too and stay abreast of what we have going on. And then tell some of your friends and family as well to go to intellectualradio.com and also hit the subscribe button as well. A lot of good shows here, a lot of good hosts here, a lot of good guests come through here, and you may not know about them. So you may need to, well, you need to know them, and you need to know all these wonderful people that's here. So again, we're here at the Great Entrepreneur Show, and just give you some of our partners, our promotion partners for this particular show. We have Emmett Farmer. He's Surge 365. And if you want to travel or you're looking to get into the travel business, you can contact him at 773-908-9425. That's 773-908-9425. Or you can email him at gettingcashback, the numeric number 2, at gmail.com. Gettingcashback at the numeric number 2 at gmail.com. If you're looking for some business cards or website development and also digital promotion, you can go to you can contact Brian at digitalworks.com. That's DIGITALWORX, X is an X-ray 2X .com, and you can get your website. And also, if you say you heard it from the show, you also can get you over 2,500 business cards for $59.95, or less than $60. So contact Brian 773-239-2646. 773-239-2646. If you're looking to do something with your finance, get your financial health in order, from your insurance to investments, you can contact Miss Lynn Ross. She's at 773-680-2391, 773-680-391. You're looking for some Shackley products and you want to get your health in order and cleaning products for your house, you want to contact Deb Villareese, and she's at 630-420-2119, 630-420-2119. Or you can email her at RVILLARESE at AOL.com. You're looking for some tax help, some accounting help, you want to contact Carla Madison. She's with Madison Financial Solutions, and she's at 9901 Southwestern Avenue, Suite 205, Chicago, Illinois, 60643. She works with you anywhere around the country as well. All of these people will. 773-239-6100, 773-239-6100. And if you have a event coming up and you need a master of ceremonies or mistress of ceremonies, as it's sometimes called, you want to contact Tracy James. She's at 708-269-6593. That's 708-269-6593. And you can email her at trayfab@gmail.com. That's TRAYFAB @gmail.com. TARYFAB@gmail.com. So those are our promotional partners for this show this evening. And one of our promotional partners, I don't have to promote him like I normally do, like I did the other people today, because I have him today as the guest. And that's Ben Williams at BW Publishing. And Ben Williams, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, and thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on. Do appreciate it. So we got Mr. Ben Williams. So people, for those that follow the show, have probably heard me promote your business here on the show several times about getting the book published and things of that nature. So obviously we're going to talk about what you do and who you are. But before we get into what you do, who is Ben Williams and what did he do before he started publishing all these books all over the country?
That's a good question. Well, prior to me publishing all these books, I always wrote. I always wrote. I wrote quite a few books myself, and I help other people write books and edit their books, and I worked for a few publishing companies. So I've been in the business of publishing and writing and editing for a very long time. And of course, I started BW Publishing in 2005, so I've been doing my own thing since that time. But prior to that, I've always been either working for a publishing company, helping other people write their books, or I've been writing myself. So writing has been a passion for me for a very long time. In fact, since I was in probably fourth grade.
Oh wow!
And that was a long time ago. I just love writing, so that's what I did prior to that.
Oh wow! Fourth grade, I was running from anything that looked like writing. I running from words, numbers, everything. but,
Right.
but that's good. That's good. So so you've been in the publishing business. Obviously, you had your own since 2005.
Yes.
Which is a long time. You've been in the game as far as just as a publisher of other people's books for a while, and you've been
Right.
writing and publishing your own books before then. So let's
Right.
talk about the publishing industry because obviously that's an industry I got a little familiarity with,
Yes.
and and so I want to talk about um, the importance of finding the right publisher. And
Wow.
yeah, that's because sometimes people say, well, I wrote a book. I have my book done, and really they don't realize they really haven't written a book yet. They have a manuscript, but they
Right.
say, I wrote a book. Now what do I do now? So how do we find the right publisher?
Well, the word "right," when you say "right publisher," that's pretty subjective. It depends on what you want to accomplish when you finish with your manuscript, and what do you want to do with it? Because you gotta remember that writing a book, writing a manuscript, any type of writing that you do is pretty much like fine-tuned expression of your thought and how you see the world. So once you put that on paper, you want to put that in the hands of someone that's going to take it to where you want to go. Now there are lots of publishers out there. There's some what they call vanity publishers that's on the internet. You can find them all over the place who have published thousands of books. There's traditional publishers who only publish books that they have solicited, and they pay you a fee for your work, and you get a contract to continue to write for them, and you can make millions of dollars doing that. And there's people that's kind of in the middle, like BW Publishing, Partnership Publishing, who takes kind of a middle ground. But some of the important things that new authors overlook when they're writing their book, and I can't say they overlook it, because when you write a book, that's a very exciting time for you.
Mm-hmm.
And most people are really kind of very excited that they've written this book, even excited when they're writing the book. So when you get excited like that, publishers can smell that excitement. So if you get the wrong,
they like sharks in the water, huh?
You know what I mean? You get the wrong publisher, they'll just cater to your excitement, and you'll miss all the other important things that you need to pay attention to. So when someone sits on the opposite side of my desk with a manuscript, I start grilling them about, hey, look, this is what's going to happen. This is what I know you're excited. I'm excited. This is a great book, but there's some things you need to understand. I can give you a few of them. Like, for example, you can find a great publishing company online. You get a call from a salesperson, or you reach out to them, and they want to publish your book. And they ask no questions about the book. They may ask one question, because they're not interested in your book. They're interested in making money off you. They don't make their money off of you making money. They make their money completely off of you. Regardless if you sell 0 books or 1 million books, they're going to make their money. And so you may give your manuscript to the wrong publisher because you're so excited. One thing that a lot of people overlook, I'm kind of jumping around here, I'm sorry, but one thing that a lot of people overlook when they're getting their book published is they say, well, I want my book in bookstores, and that's fine. But they don't understand the dynamics of the bookstore. Most bookstores have limited space. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to carry every book that's been published, because they don't have shelf space to carry every book that's been published. So They have these buyers that they deal with who go out and buy books from publishers or distributors, and they come with a magazine or a catalog, and they say, okay, I want this book, that book, that book. The bookseller does. But what determines if they get your book or take a chance on your book is the ability for them to return the book if it doesn't sell. And a lot of publishers do not have the options of returning their book to them. Mm-hmm. I can't name any of these publishers that's online. You know, I wouldn't do that over the radio. Right. But a lot of the online publishers, you get your book in their hands, you're not going to get in the bookstore because the bookstore don't deal with that publisher because they don't value returns. They don't accept returns. Mm-hmm. And the book, if a bookseller buys a book, they're stuck with the book.
Right.
So that's one of the small things. And then you can call one of the big online publishers and say, do you accept returns? And they say, yeah, we have a return program. Well, they charge you. Mm-hmm. They charge you about $1,000. Say, okay, you can buy into our return program, and your book will be returnable. But on the bookstore side, they know that publisher has a return program, and they're not going to go through and figure out, okay, this book is returnable, this book isn't returnable, this book is returnable. They're just not going to buy any books from that publisher or accept any book from that publisher. Right. So return programs is garbage.
Yeah. Okay? I like that.
That's one of the pitfalls of not knowing the publishing industry.
Right.
You know, you want a publisher that's going to read your book, that's going to give you genuine feedback on your book, that's going to sit with you or even sit on the phone with you as long as it takes to understand what you want in your book. And that's one of the ways to find the right publisher. You have to feel right, comfortable, and trust this person. If you don't trust the company, because the company is going to be controlling the money, right. You know, so you got to trust them to send you royalty checks or royalty statements. You got to trust them, you know. And if you don't do that, if you just find someone online, then you just got a book online that very few people are going to buy after your family and friends. And you know, after your family and friends buy it, no one else is going to buy it. And you just got a book out there, which is really no one's reading your story. And the point of writing your book is you want the world to hear what you have composed on paper.
Right. You know, here's something I like about what you said, because obviously, you know, I'm an author like yourself. And,
right.
You know, that first book, don't get me wrong, I get excited over every book I write. Okay. Every book I write, I'm just as excited about my first one. But my first one, I was a little bit more naive and excited. Uh-huh. Right. I'm not as naive as I was with the first one. Right.
Right.
And I think a lot of times people don't they think because they wrote the story, or, you know, it's a book about my life, or, you know, whatever it may be. Right. I think they think that's it. That's all I have to do. Now I'm going to really make it big because I wrote my story. And what else is there for me to do? And not realizing, I always say, Ben, that writing is personal, but publishing is all business.
Yes.
And you have to walk into it with a business mind. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. So they don't pick the right publisher, you know, using what we say in the right publisher. They don't pick the right publisher because they're not thinking about business. Then they don't actually do their part in actually promoting the book, because after their family and friends all bought it, then we're looking at, okay, what am I going to do now? I mean, who's going to buy it now? Because, you know, I wrote the story, and it's a great story how I got out the gutter, but it's still haven't sold very many copies past my family and friends. And I don't think they understand, even as they go through some big publishers, like I said, the return policy, because big publishers, a lot of big stores, they only deal with certain book buyers.
Right.
That's all they deal with. I don't care how good your story is. If it's not with this particular, you know, book buyer, they're not going to buy it.
Exactly.
You know, so I'm glad you brought that up, because, you know, I know people don't think that they're going to have any returns. Like, hey, my book in your store, everybody going to buy it. They're going to walk by and be like, I want that book. And that's not how it goes. They're going to say, you know what, we got 10 or 20 of your books, 100 of your books, and we sold 3, and we sending a 97 back. Right? We don't.
Exactly.
We couldn't make any money.
You know, even if their family buy it, when are they going to buy it? Because the bookstore is only going to hold it for so long.
Right.
You know, and because they're running out of room, and people are writing books every day. They want the new and the latest book, but they're not going to let your book continue to hold up space on the shelf that hasn't sold. If you sold 3 books, that's what you sold. and then it goes back to the distribution company or the buyer or whoever. And if the publisher has a return policy, it goes back to the publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's up to him to how he has designed his contract, or is he going to sell them or whatever. But it goes back to the publisher, meaning it didn't sell.
Right.
So
that's
and you have to have that policy if you want your book to go far and wide, because everyone wants to be able to return merchandise that don't sell, especially booksellers.
Mm-hmm.
I would. If you had a bookstore, would you want to return it?
Yes, I would. I mean, because like you said, my bookstore is only so large. I'm trying to make money every day. And obviously, if I seen somebody that's a very, very popular person, obviously I want their book in there, and I want them to take up 2 shelf spaces, right? Because I know people are going to come in there and get that popular person's book. Now, you're not that popular. You're only popular with 5 people. I can't give you that much space because I'm trying to sell books. So I'm with you there. I understand that. And a lot of people need to understand that. I think that, when they write their book, I think they need to get an education on the publishing process. Obviously, that leads to the marketing process, but they should understand the publishing process so they can make the best decision for them and then be a little bit more realistic.
Right, exactly.
Because everybody going to be a best-selling author. You know that, right, Ben? When I'm going to be a best-selling, everybody say they're going to be best. And you and I both know. If you ask most of those people what is a best-selling author, they couldn't even tell you what's the criteria.
Right, exactly. And what list? Because there's a lot of
lists. That's right.
Bestsellers list. There's a lot of different ones. Are you talking about New York best-selling author? What are you talking about?
That's right.
When you say bestseller, because BW Publishing has a bestsellers list.
That's right.
But that person could have only sold 500 books.
Right. That's right.
But in my company, hey, you're a bestseller. If you sell 500 books in one day, you're a bestseller.
Right.
So it depends on what list you're talking about. So that word bestseller is also pretty relative, according to what list you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things in publishing that people just don't know, and the publisher isn't going to share information like that. Like I would. I mean, there's a lot more. The return policy is just one that I thought of. There's a whole lot of more that people don't understand. One of the things I ask people when they sit in front of me is, let's say they wrote a book on, I don't know, motivational speaking. And the first thing I say, well, how many motivational speaking books have you read this year? And I normally stump them with that. And they're like, well, why are you asking me that? Because good readers make good writers.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So if you haven't read on this subject, why do you think you can write on it, but there's a lot of motivational books out there. If you're not reading up on it, you don't really know what to say, what has been said, what hasn't been said. So you got to kind of educate the author. I don't, if it's a good book and I feel it's going to sell, I'll bring them in. But they have to be a good reader. Good readers make good writers, bottom line. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of money in copy editing and proofreading and a lot of time. So there's certain things that new authors really need to know.
I like that. So, okay. All right, Ben. So let's put a scenario together. So,
okay.
I had this manuscript, I think it's a book. I wrote it 5 or 6 years ago, but I never published it. Right. I don't really know what to do. Took me 4 years. And what would you suggest I do first? Okay. I called Ben. What do you need from me?
Well, if someone called me and they gave me that scenario that they wrote a book 4 or 5 years ago and they still have the manuscript, I would first, either talk to them on the phone or have a face-to-face meeting with them and say, okay, you wrote it 4 years ago. Why haven't you published it? What happened? And it's normally, I hear that a lot. I've had people who wrote books 10 years ago, longer than that. And, all right, how have you had it written? It has to be evaluated, because like you said, everybody's a best-selling author. Everybody's a good writer. And it's okay that you're not a good writer if you have the right publisher, So it's okay. I would probably evaluate the manuscript and give my honest opinion. If you can't write, I'm going to say, hey, some of your writing needs to be cleaned up, but hey, we can clean it up. The story is written is not. You're not a good writer. You're writing chapter 1 first person, and chapter 2 third person, and chapter 3 fifth person if there is such a thing.
Right.
You're going to lose somebody, and it's not in chronological order. So I would evaluate, make a long story short, I would evaluate the manuscript.
Okay.
And then I would tell them, okay, this is what's going to take to polish it up. All it needs is polishing up, because everybody has a good story. I've never had an author sit in front of me who did not have a good story.
Right.
Because everyone is unique. Everyone has their unique experiences. Even if they're writing the same book or some type of book that's already out there, the way this person is going to tell it is different, because he or she is a unique person. So I don't want to discourage anyone from writing, because there's people out there that are trained, like myself and others, to polish up your writing.
Right.
So it's just a matter of reading the story, giving an honest evaluation. And I only had one person in my whole career that didn't like the evaluation I gave them and walked out. I never know what happened to that person again, but some people just can't take constructive criticism. And I try to give it as best I can so that we can partner in getting the manuscript into a finished book.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That's good. So now, what genres do you pretty much specialize in?
Well, my number one genre is Christian and spiritual books, but I've also published historical books. And as a matter of fact, my bestseller is not a Christian or a spiritual book; it's a historical book. So I also do historical book, poetry, children book, life stories, and stuff like that. But I started in the Christian market.
Oh, okay, good.
So I consider myself a Christian publisher because I'm unapologetically a Christian man, and I consider myself more in the Christian market.
Okay. So, let's step into that market then for a moment in a couple of questions. So, what do you find like a big challenge with the Christian market? A person, I wrote a book. Is it they have nothing but scriptures in it? They don't have, is it they want to write something with a different flair or certain things? What do you feel some of the challenges that they have as a Christian?
Well, I wouldn't call it a challenge, but you have to, like I say, you have to have the right publisher, and I just so happen to understand this. A lot of, to be a Christian, a lot of people may not know who's not a Christian, is that you get revelation, you get, you're blessed with the Holy Spirit, meaning you get guidance from the Holy Spirit, and so when you write a book that's you've been inspired to write, or the Holy Spirit has guided you to write, then there's things in that book that you say, God told you. And it's not my position to dispute that. But when you start copy editing books, you're copy editing books for grammar, sentence structure, chronological order, and stuff like that. So now with a Christian that says God told you this, if he said God told him that, there's very little you can do to change that. Change as far as changing the words that God said. He said God told him. So that's one of the challenges. Okay, what did God say to you, and what's yours? You know what I mean?
Right.
So when you say, okay, he said, well, if he say in the book, well, God told me this, then it's easy. Okay, God told him that. I'm going to leave that alone. That's what he said. That's what she said. Fine, let's leave that. But if he don't say God told you this, and you read something that doesn't sit right with you, and you're editing the book, then you have to say, okay, is this you or is this God? So there's some challenges, a little bit more back and forth with the Christian market, because that they have a different agenda than any other market. They have a different agenda, which is touching someone and ultimately converting them to Christianity based on what they're writing. So when you have someone that have that type of agenda, now every writer has an agenda, but the Christian agenda is just a little bit different, whether it's Catholic or whatever, have a different agenda. So that's one of the things that's unique about their book. And to go back to what you said, yes, I've had people who've written books and their chapter is just a whole chapter out of the Bible. So I'm like, people you can just reference this and people can go to the Bible and read this. It don't have to be in your book. No, the Lord said put it in there, so it's there. You know what I mean? So that's one of the challenges.
Right.
I've had people that whole chapter is the book of John. I said, wait a minute, this is already in the Bible. Why don't you just say read the book of John? You know, but you know.
Right,
And then
right.
when they realize how thick their book is getting because they're copying the Bible, and okay, it's gonna cost a little bit more to make this book, then they sometimes reconsider it, or other people say,
Oh,
well,
God told him something different then after that.
sometimes, not all the time, not all the time, but
I think God told
but
me take out all those pages. It's gonna cost me another $1,000. Right. Okay. That's good.
but not all the time. You know, I don't want to look like I'm making fun
Right.
of my
Right.
Christian brothers or
Right. Right.
sisters.
I'm
You
with
know, but
you.
I'm just
Me.
telling you, it's just that happens sometimes.
Right.
That
Right.
happens, and you know, I have books with whole. But I wonder, what does the reader think when the reader picks it up and see, okay, this is the Bible. You know, I got this over on my shelf over here. You know, so it's a challenge, but you know, it's a good challenge if it's going to help someone, you know, turn their life around somehow. You know.
Right. Right. I think when it comes to that space, and I said the Christian space, I
Hmm.
think sometimes because obviously you and I in the same space, as far as books and everything. I think
Right.
sometimes a lot of people don't want to listen to someone like yourself, right? You're not
Right.
saying don't put the book of John in there, right? That's not what you're
Right.
saying. You're
Right.
just saying that it's the book of John. You can just point me as a reader to the book of John, and
Right.
and then you can go ahead and start elaborating or revelating or whatever you want to call it on
Right.
that in the book because if you got a revelation, I'm the reader want the revelation because again, I can go to the Bible or whatever your reference
Right.
is and read that myself. I want to know what's different than what you're saying. What is different about
Exactly.
it? What's your angle on it, so to speak, or your revelation on it? And then I go back and research it out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, instead of having me read the whole book of John in your book. So I think that
Right.
sometime, and that's just not people that we're not saying that we're not picking on Christians or anything like that. I think that goes with a lot of people that write books.
Yes.
Sometimes they're so adamant about their book, which is cool because I'm adamant about mine, but I run the
Right.
whole show on mine, so I can be adamant. You see what I'm saying? So,
I get it.
right. But if I'm not running the whole show, I can't afford to be adamant. I got to take the advice, and it took me a while to get to this place. I
Yes.
really,
Exactly.
whatever people told me, my first 7, 8 books, I kind of like went with it. People added in all those things. So
Yes.
that's 7, 8 books. That's some years after my first one before I got the confidence to say, you know what? Okay, I want it this way, that way. I write it like this, and I'm cool with it. But I think, you have to actually listen to people that know more than you until you get to maybe it might be not may not take them 7, 8 books. They may get it in 3 and they may say, okay, I feel comfortable doing it this way. But the first couple of books, I think you should just try to do all you can to listen to people like yourself, like a publisher, to help
Right.
guide you through this thing. And I think that's what hurts a lot of people in the
Right. Because
process.
I love the Christian market. You know, I really love the Christian market, and it's challenging, but it's not insurmountable. That the challenges can be overcome. You
Hmm.
know, like I said, there's only a couple of people that I know that my evaluation had them walk out. You know, and I got to tell you this real quick. I had and these are the type of books that I just turned down, and these are Christian books as well. I had a lady asked me to publish her book, and I liked the title. I can't say the title because I don't know if she went somewhere else and published it,
Right.
but it was a great title, and it was about church. It was about her church, and as I read the book, she was airing out all the dirty laundry of the church.
Mm.
You know what happened in the church, who did this, who did that, and I said, I really can't do this because it's not lifting people up. You just kind of you're tearing these people down. Well, they did this, they did that, they did this. So stuff like that, I kind of shy away from. I love all the Christian books that I published. I read all of them, and they're very unique, very inspiring. And they're books that will uplift people. So the Christian market is a very growing market. Not growing, it's a huge market already.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as we stay on the right side of the Christian books, I think we'll be all right.
I like that. I like that. That's good. Uh, let's go to this. So let's say, for instance, I've written the book before,
Hmm.
and I wrote it and I published it with ABC Publishing Company,
Hmm.
and maybe I did that 5 years ago, and
Okay.
probably didn't sell as well as I want, or maybe I did sell as well as I want, but I haven't sold it or promoted it in 5 6 years. But I think I want to bring it back to life.
Okay.
So all I have though is just a copy of the book. I mean, a physical copy of the book. I meet you and say I want to republish this book. What would you need from me to do that?
Well, if it was already published with another publishing company, I would probably ask for their contract to make sure you have not given them the rights to that book
Hmm.
and they don't still have any rights to distribute and publish the book. So that would be the first. Now, if you've already severed ties with that publisher, hopefully, and it's not always so. Hope it's not always so. Hopefully, that the publisher gave you all the files you needed to print and republish your book.
Hmm.
If they did not do that, then you're in trouble. Then you have to start over from scratch. As long as you have your original manuscript or a copy of the book where it can be typed over, retyped rather, and republished. But hopefully the publisher, because I had a situation like that where a young lady published with a company and the publishing company just went out of business and didn't say anything. So all she had was a PDF. And I checked, the company was no more. They did not transfer the rights to any other company. So she had the rights to her book. But all I had was a PDF. I said, hey, do you have this in a Word document? She didn't. I said, what do you want me to do? Can you publish it? I said, yeah, I can publish it, but I couldn't make any changes. I couldn't make any change, so I published it exactly the way they published it. I was able to take out their logo and stuff like that, and create a different cover because they hadn't got to the cover part. They just went out of business. So it's a challenge. It depends on, like I say, it's a challenge, but it's not too big of a challenge that you can't overcome. Hopefully the publisher that they dealt with was generous enough to give them their files back when they severed ties. I mean, printable files. It'd be even better if we had editable files. Because that'd be better in case the person want to make changes or something like that.
Right, right.
Now, yeah,
No, go ahead.
that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay.
No, I was going to go somewhere else.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say if a person wants to revitalize a book that they have and they already, but they don't want it already lived its life out. Let's say they had a book and they published it 5 years ago, or they self-published it or something like that, and they want to kind of revise that book because of some things in there they think is relevant now, but it's so old. I'll say, okay, well, write another chapter. Let's call it the revised edition. You can keep the other one out there, call it a revised edition, change the cover a little bit, give it another ISBN number, and that'll be the revised edition of that book. People do it all the time, especially in the textbook market.
Okay.
You get a textbook, volume 1, and then you get volume 2. It's pretty much the same as volume 1, except one chapter is different.
Mm.
So that's the way to revise some older books that you have. Make a revised edition, you have to have another ISBN number, and it'll sell just as well.
Right. Let's talk about copyrights for real quick, since you brought up ISBNs.
Okay.
How about if I write my book 5 years ago, and you know what? I want to add 3 more chapters to this book. I have 10 chapters in it now, and I want to do some changes. I think these 3 chapters, because I got smarter, right? So I think these 3 chapters should be in the book. So I put these 3 chapters in the book. Do I need to recopyright that, or do I need to get a new ISBN number? Is that considered a new book?
Yes, you should get a different ISBN number because it's not the same book. Because if someone happened to steal the new parts that you wrote in the book, you can't prove that's your work from the old copyright because that's not registered with the U.S. Copyright Office.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we would probably need a new copyright just for that revised edition. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And a new ISBN number.
Good. Yeah, I want to make sure people get that part too. So here's another question too for you, because I think when people don't understand when you say files, right? 'Cause I wrote this book, right? I wrote this book, Ben. I finally got it done, and I sent it in. And obviously, it doesn't look like when I got the book done. It doesn't look like quote unquote how I wrote it on my document. I just went from left to right, 8.5, 11.5 document. I just went from left to right. But then when they fixed it, improved it, cleaned it up, they put it in book form, right?
Right.
What you and I would call laying out, right? Laying the book out. And they don't realize that's the file.
Right.
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 They don't know what that means. They're like, what file? What are you talking about, Ben? Right. I mean, what file?
Right. Right. They probably either wrote it on paper, but whatever way they gave it to the publisher, it had to be a Word document, Microsoft Word,
right?
Or any other word processing program. Microsoft Word is the number one now, but there's other word processing programs. You don't have to use Microsoft Word. I'm not sure if Word Perfect is still out there, but there's some other programs out there. So I'm just saying, whatever the word processing program, I'm just using Microsoft Word. So that's your manuscript. Once you give it to a publisher, that's not a book form. He has to put it into another software. The latest right now is called InDesign, Adobe InDesign, but some of the older ones are called Quark Express. There's one called PageMaker. There's one called Corel. There's a lot of layout. There's one that Microsoft has called Publisher. That's not as robust as InDesign. Most publishers use InDesign, but Publisher, you can use Publisher as well. So once they put it in that format, they can control the spacing, control the margins, and make it the size of a book. Like a standard book is a 6x9 or smaller, or some that's larger as well. And then that's the final file. Now in InDesign, you can convert that to something called a PDF. And the PDF is called Portable Document Format, which is something that when you print it or you send it to another computer, none of the type is going to change because it's fixed. It won't move or anything like that. Now that PDF, if they give you that, then you still have your file, but you can't change it. You can't edit it. You're going to need that InDesign file, that original file, if you want to change it. Or you have to start back from your Word document. So when we say files, I'm talking about the files that the publisher used to design your book. PDF is fine, like I said, if they give you that, because you can print. But when you talk about, hey, I want to change something that's already written, you can't do that. You can add a whole new chapter to a PDF, because that's not messing with something that's already in the PDF. You're not changing words around.
Right.
So when you say file, you're right. I'm talking about the InDesign file, whatever software the publisher used to make your book look like a book. That's what you need.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I want people to understand what file is, because a lot of times people don't understand margins. They don't understand all those things, and they don't understand what I call the layout or formatting part of the book. And that's the part that okay, let's go here, because I'm a self-published author, right? So
okay,
and I always tell people there's a lot of work self-publishing.
Yes.
Because you need to know stuff like files and PDFs, because if you want Ben to just print the book, right? Hey, Ben, I got this book. I don't need you to edit. I don't need you to do any of those things. Here it is. Well, you need to know that all these things got to be set, because Ben is just doing a print. So what you give him and the way you give it to him is how it's going to come out. Right? So,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yes,
so you can't say, oh, man, wait a minute. I got 2 page number 2s.
Right.
Hey, just what you gave me, and this is what I printed. Right? So really most of the mistakes that's in it is based on the self-published person. So let's talk about 3 things here. Publishing in regards to what you do, self-publishing, and then print on demand.
Okay.
Let's kind of go over those so people can have an idea.
Well, I kind of went a little bit over into the publishing industry, which means, of course, you seek out a publisher like myself or someone else, and you give them the manuscript, and you sign a contract, which is, you're not signing over the rights to your book. You shouldn't. But I mean, when I say shouldn't, read your contract. You don't sign over the rights to the book. What you're doing is giving him the rights to distribute, print, and sell your book. That's it. You're just giving them certain rights. So that's what a publisher will do that you meet, unless you get one of the traditional publishers. But I don't want to go into that, because that's different. That publisher will buy your book and buy the rights to your book.
That's right.
That's different. Okay. But the publishers that most people will find on the internet or something like that. They're just having the rights to distribute and design and sell the book, but the author is the ultimate owner of the book, the copyright owner of the book. Now, the difference between that and self-publishing, I know a lot of great self-publishers. You're one of them, Dr. Dent, you're one of them.
Thank you.
I always thought self-publishing was, the term self-publishing was a little deceptive. I'd like to use the term self-publisher.
Okay.
Because in order for you to self-publish, you have to take on the role of the publisher. You are the publisher, in fact, because bookstores are not selling books, are not carrying books, and distributors not distributing books from individuals.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not a publisher, they're not talking to you.
Right.
So a self-publishing person, you have to be the publisher,
mm-hmm.
whoever that is. So the reason I say self-publishing is kind of deceptive, even though that term is on my website, and I help people self-publish their book.
Mm-hmm.
In order to self-publish, you have to be a lot of things. You have to be a designer. You have to be a copy editor. You have to be a printer, and you have to be a distributor. All those things is what publishing is comprised of. So you're not self-publishing. You're a self-publisher because you have to pay. If you don't know all those things, you have to pay other people to do it for you.
That's right.
Okay, and that's fine. Personally, I like to pay people to do things for me because to me, my time is more valuable than my money. So I'll give it to someone else and let them do it before I spend my time doing it, because I can spend my time doing something else, either something I like doing or something that's going to make me more money.
Right.
Because I value my time more than I value my money. A lot of people put money at the top of their list, but
right.
That's them.
That's right.
Because you can always make more money.
Yes, you can't make no more time.
Right. Once that's gone, it's over.
Gone. That's right.
we all getting older. We're not infinite beings here.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I said that is how much time do you want to spend in self-publishing?
Mm-hmm.
And how valuable is your time?
Right.
Okay, you can't design the book. You don't know InDesign. You can't copy edit the book. So you got to search out all these people to do it for you. Because if you go to a publisher, he's going to say, okay, I'll do all that for you, but I'm going to publish your book. So you got to find out each individual to do this stuff,
mm-hmm.
which is time consuming and also going to take your money.
Right.
If someone came to me and said, hey, BW, can you design a book cover for me? Mm-hmm. It will cost you more for me to design a book cover than it will cost you for me to design a book cover if I was your publisher.
Right.
So you're still going to be paying, and you're going to be paying more. Mm-hmm. Now, the good thing about self-publishing, we have this small segment of the population who are just go-getters. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, if you're a go-getter and you're willing to market your book, you're willing to push your book, and you don't mind the money you put out because you're going to make this money back because you are a go-getter, then I would say go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you got a publisher, you're sitting around, you're waiting on royalty check. I send them out every quarter, and most publishers do. You're sitting on you're waiting on a royalty check every quarter, and he's going to tell you how much you sold.
Right.
But you haven't put in any work there. So if you're a go-getter, you're a go-getter, and time is not of the essence to you because you're going to make the money back on the money you spent out there, and your time is worth it. Then I would say self-publish.
Right.
If you don't, like I said, BW Publishing helps self-publishers. We have a page on our site that says for self-publishers, and this is what we charge you to design your book, to lay it out for you, to copy edit, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I know you do that as well. Mm-hmm. So there is a good segment of the population that can do that.
Right.
Most people, I don't think they have the time and the spirit to keep moving.
That's a nice way to put it.
To keep moving that fast.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Because you know what I say, Ben? I said that, and I don't try to discourage people, but you and I talked numerous times, and you done work for me too as well. That I said the average person run about 90 days after they get their book. They're excited. You might find one or two that go 6 months, right? But I said, you see them on social media, they may put up there, my book came out today. And if you
Right.
ask them next year, hey, what about that book? Oh, well, God told me to do something different. Right? Man, I got to do something different because it takes a lot of work to not only
Yes.
find editors and find cover design people. So I say self-publishing, you're just really managing a process. You're just overseeing a process, just like a
Yes.
regular publisher, right? You're just overseeing who's going to
Yes.
edit it, who's going to format it, who's going to make
Right.
the cover design for you. But after all
Right.
that, then you have to try to get it in independent bookstores. You
Right.
have to
You have
try.
to push
You
it.
you got to push it, right? You got to push this thing. Now, for me, knowing the value of what I do now, anytime I write a book, man, I know I'm gonna sell it for at least a decade.
Yes.
I know it. I don't get excited like, I came out with one today and, for the next 3 months, look. I know this is a 10-year project for me. This one book I'm going to
Yes.
sell for at least a decade. So I'm going to maneuver it from a different state to a different industry. I'm going to do this for a decade. So I'm not really all that excited about the first 90 days. He said, man, you only sold, a couple hundred in the first 90 days. That don't bother me because I'm
Right.
going to do this but I have learned to do that. And I always tell people that this is a different animal, right? This is a different animal
Yes.
when you're gonna do this thing. Start small, and get you some help. Obviously, I still have help like yourself, when I have things coming out to help me, get some stuff done. Because I don't mind paying you for your expertise, right?
Yes, sir. Right. Right.
Like, all right, Ben, hey, here's something for you. Here's the PDF. You got me, right? Got you. Right? You know what I'm saying? So, and
Right.
then I kind of move on from there, right? But I think a lot of times people just don't understand all the things that go into it, and that's one reason why I do classes on it. You do classes and things like that too on it as well, right?
Not that often. I don't do too many classes on it. No,
Okay.
I'm be honest with you.
Okay.
Maybe I should start, but
Yeah, you
you
should.
know,
Too many.
or I'll just send them to you.
Yeah, but I only do that one about twice a year max. But no, that's cool too, right? That's good. But okay,
Right.
let me ask you this, Ben, because we got a couple of minutes left. Um,
Okay.
how do we get in touch with Ben? Even though I said on the show, time, but how do we get in touch with BW Publishing and Ben Williams if I want to talk about my book or do a consultation with you regarding my book?
Well, first visit the website so you can understand what we do, and that's at bwpublishing.com.
Mhm.
And also, you can call the office 708-746-4688 anytime. And first visit the website because I'm going to ask you, hey, did you take a look at our website? Because if you didn't, then I'm going to have to go through the whole spiel, or someone in the office is going to have to go through this whole spiel again. So kind of educate yourself on who you're calling before you call 708-746-4688. It's a chance that if you're interested in us publishing your book, we'll be glad to take it, unless it's something that's, I don't know, bashing women, is racist,
Right.
or bashing a certain segment of the population, or you are
Right.
airing out dirty laundry and stuff like that. We don't, I can't attach our name to something like that. But for the most part, we publish some real good authors. We have a few children's books coming out, and next few months we're going to be advertising some of their book signings and so forth. And you'll see a few of them on your show pretty soon.
That's good,
Dr. Gant.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. But I know we run out of time, but maybe we should hit that marketing thing because that's very important in books too.
Okay.
A lot of people overlook marketing, which is one of the most important aspects of the books, and that.
We got about 10
all,
seconds. Got about 10 seconds, man.
Okay, figure out who your market is, figure out who you're trying to sell it to, and go for it.
Okay.
If it's a young market, use the internet. If it's an older market, use the independent bookstores.
Sounds good. Ben, I really do appreciate your time. We'll have you back on again, I'm sure, in the future, so you can give us some more insights on those things. And I want to thanks again for your time. And you and I will definitely be talking soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. You have a great day.
Thanks a lot, Ben. You do the same. All right, and that was Ben Williams with BW Publishing. Again, you can contact him with the information that he gave. I want to thank you for taking the time to look at and listen to great entrepreneurs. And you can get back with us on Thursday evening with the great authors. We'll be interviewing another author. Sunday, you can get with us on a Greater You show. And keep in mind that great entrepreneurs aren't born, they're made. And I'll see you next time.